Hello, my name is Mama Hiroyi Akzam Misazli. So we're gonna talk about the bulb temperature. What is the bulb temperature? The bulb temperature we usually use as measurement ambient air temperature. It is simply as we can measure the dry bulb temperature by using thermometer. Dry bulb temperature is can be used as indicator of heat, such as cooking oven and temperature of air at the outdoor. So how can we identify dry bulb temperature based on specific humidity and relative humidity given? So the first one is we draw a horizontal line to the left for 0.14 specific humidity, and then we draw a curved line based on the 40% relative humidity. Once we are done, we draw a vertically upward line that cross the specific humidity line and relative humidity line. Once we done cross, we can get the 34.075 degrees C. So next we're gonna talk about dew point temperature. What is dew point temperature? Dew point temperature is a limit of ambient air that can hold water vapor. Means that if the dew point reach 100%, the ambient air will be gradually cool. For such application is usually used to measure dryness, such as compressed air drying. How can we identify dew point temperature based on parameter given? There is uh, dew bulb temperature and relative humidity. So we know that dew bulb temperature is vertically upward. That is 31 degrees C. We drew that line. And relative humidity is 15%. We drew the curved line on the 15% of relative humidity. And then we will draw a horizontally from the left to the right to cross both relative humidity line and dry bulb temperature line. Once we cross that, we will get the dew point temperature that is 19 degrees C.
Hello, my name is Juan Adam Chris and today I will presenting to you about relative humidity in humidity charts. The definition is ratio of current water vapor to maximum capacity at a given temperature expressed as a percentage. As you can see in the humidity chart, the diagonal line showing 20%, 40%, 60% and 80%. And to read it, let's just say that there are two information, the temperature dry bulb and the temperature wet bulb. The temperature dry bulb showing 25 Celsius and temperature of wet bulb showing 16 Celsius. And using that information, you need to draw a line. As you can see in the graph, is the blue line for upward for temperature dry bulb, and to the right for the temperature wet bulb. And the incline point showing that it touched the 60% relative humidity line. So relative humidity for this graph is 60%. Next, I will presenting to you about specific humidity. The definition of specific humidity is mass of water vapor per unit mass of air expressed in grams of water vapor per kilogram of air. And the line for specific humidity is vertical to the right of the chart. Example, let's say that you have relative humidity of 60% and temperature dry bulb of 25 Celsius. First, you need to draw a upward line using data of 25 Celsius, touching the 60% relative humidity. And the incline point, you need to draw a line vertical to the right to show the value for specific humidity. And for this chart, the value for specific humidity is 0.12 kg per kg.
Now let's move to how to identify wet bulb temperature. Before we can identify wet bulb temperature, we need to know what is the definition. The wet bulb temperature is the temperature a parcel of air would have if cooled to saturation, approximately 100% relative humidity by evaporation. The wet bulb temperature will always be lower than or equal to the dry bulb temperature because evaporating absorbs heat. As we can see at this psychometric chart, when the dry bulb temperature is 30 degrees Celsius and the enthalpy is 60 kilojoule over kilogram, we can obtain that the wet bulb temperature is 20 degrees Celsius. After that, we move to how to identify enthalpy. What is enthalpy? Enthalpy is the changes referred to the heat energy exchange in a system during a process, particularly under constant temperature. It represents the total heat content of the air, including both the sensible heat due to the temperature and the latent heat due to the moisture content in the air. As we can see on this psychometric chart, we can define what is the value of the enthalpy using dew point temperature and the dry bulb temperature. When the dry bulb temperature is 35 degrees Celsius and the dew point temperature is 21 degrees Celsius, we can obtain the enthalpy value that is 25.3 kilojoule over kilogram by the intersection point between the dry bulb temperature and the dew point temperature.
For the first problem, with the help of humidity chart, find the following properties of air. If air is 26 Celsius temperature dry bulb and 60% relative humidity. The first step is to identify 26 Celsius temperature dry bulb and make a upward line until it touches 60% relative humidity line. The yellow line is temperature dry bulb in the chart and the green line is 60% of relative humidity. And the point that incline with two of those lines, you make vertical lines toward the right to obtain the value of specific humidity of air. If you can see, the blue line is the line and the value that was obtained is 0.127 kg per kg. For the wet bulb temperature, from the same point that incline with the line of temperature dry bulb and relative humidity, you make a 45-degree line to obtain the temperature wet bulb. As you can see from the graph, the temperature wet bulb graph line is color red and the value that was obtained is 20.4 Celsius.
For the second question is, what is the relative humidity RH when the dry bulb temperature TDB is 27 degrees C and melt bulb temperature TWB is 15 degrees C. So how we find that? First, we draw a vertically line upward at 27 degrees C. That is dry bulb temperature. And then we draw a horizontally from the left to the right. The green color is 15 degrees C. That is wet bulb temperature. Once we draw the both line, we found incline. We found a curved line that cross both TDP and TDB. There is 15%. There is the relative humidity.
Now let's move to the third problem. Use a psychometric chart to find the dew point temperature if the dry bulb temperature is 40 degrees Celsius and the wet bulb temperature is 25 degrees Celsius. We can obtain the value of the dew point by using the dry bulb temperature and also the wet bulb temperature. In this psychometric chart figure, the dry bulb temperature is 40 degrees Celsius in green color and the wet bulb temperature is 25 degrees Celsius in red color. When we can obtain the dew point temperature by using the intersection between the wet bulb temperature and dry bulb temperature. And the dew point temperature that we obtain is 19 degrees Celsius.